It is Julian Jackson, and thank you so much for tuning into another episode. For today, we are dealing with the Capitol View Manor neighborhood. Right now, we are at Metropolitan Library. As you can see right behind me, right across the street, we have the Capitol View Lodge, and that's right over there at the corner of Dill and Metropolitan Parkway. If you cross from Metropolitan Parkway over Dill, it becomes Manford, and you are now in the Capitol View Manor neighborhood. We're doing two totally different episodes because Capitol View Manor and Capitol View are totally different neighborhoods. All right, so Capitol, not Capital. Two totally different neighborhoods, same O instead of A. It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna be walking around the neighborhood. We're gonna be driving around the neighborhood. I want to thank y'all again for leaving comments. I want to thank you for liking. I want to thank you for subscribing. It's been huge. I really appreciate it. More people are viewing these videos and learning more about these little known neighborhoods, in particular in these videos on the west side of town. But like I said, we're going to be going to the east side soon and checking out some of those neighborhoods as well. All right. Well, again, I'm a real estate agent in the Atlanta area. If you're looking for purchasing or selling in the Atlanta area, it doesn't matter if it's north, east, south, west, I'm your guy, Julian Jackson. All right, let's get into it. All right, again, we are in Capitol View Manor. Right now, we are at Dill Avenue Park. It is the largest park in Atlanta. You never heard of it? I haven't either. Actually, this is very small, as you can kind of see. But I feel like I discovered something new. Anyways, all right. Capitol View Manor has changed tremendously since the 2016 time period. All right, values were as low as about $50,000 on something that wasn't really moving ready, and going up to about $250,000 for something that was move-in ready. Fast forward that to 2024, you're looking at on the low end $250,000, and it goes all the way up to about $850,000. I mean, values in this area have changed tremendously. The owners, the owner occupants, equity in their homes. It's great. I'm happy for them. This area has just seen a whole lot of change since 8-10 years ago. So, I want y'all to check out any kind of crime data. I'm gonna put it in the description so you can check out all the crime going on in all these different areas. Really, if you are in an area that's more populated, you're gonna see more crime. If you're in an area that's less populated, you're gonna see less crime. It shouldn't be shocking. If you live in a metropolitan area, there's gonna be crime. If you live in the suburbs, there's gonna be less crime simply because there's less people who live there. Anyway, I want to thank y'all again for liking. I want to thank you again for subscribing. I want to thank you again for leaving comments. It's gone a long, long way. And, let's get in the car, get to driving, all right, get to walking. Let go. And let's have some fun. All right, let's go. Seatbelt's always a problem. All right, so we are starting this drive off on Lynnhaven Drive Southwest. And as you know, we are in the Capitol View Manor neighborhood. So let's talk about location of Capitol View Manor. It is perfectly positioned just about 4 miles from downtown Atlanta, 7 miles from Midtown, and only 9 miles from Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta Airport. In case you don't know, Atlanta Airport is the largest, busiest, most beautiful airport in the entire world. It is the busiest airport in the entire world. Had a lovely individual who came in and corrected me on the last video, and I wanted to let y'all know again, It's the busiest airport in the world. The neighborhood is bordered by historic Pittsburgh to the north, High Point to the east, Sylvan Hills to the south, and Capitol View to the west. If you are driving from downtown Atlanta, getting to Capitol View Manor is a breeze. You'll hop on I-75 South or I-85 South and take exit 244 to University Avenue. If you're from Atlanta, you probably know nothing about exit numbers, but that is the exit number. From there, keep right at the fork and turn left onto Metropolitan Parkway Southwest, and Capitol View Manor will be on your left. If you prefer public transportation, the Oakland City MARTA station is the closest station. It's about 1.4 miles away, roughly a 30-minute walk, or a quick bike ride if that's more of your speed. All right, so we are now on Deckner Avenue Southwest. If you have watched the video on Capitol View, you probably have seen that there's also a Deckner Avenue Southwest in the Capitol View neighborhood. This street dead ends into the park, Millican Park, which we're about to check out, and it keeps on going through the Capitol View Manor neighborhood, dead ending at I-75, I-85 highway. But for right now, we are going to check out Millican Park and see what the area has to offer. Alrighty then, we are at Millican Park. It is named after the mother of G. Everett Millican, who ran for state, well, actually didn't run, was state senator and also an alderman of the 10th Ward of Atlanta back in the day. I also found some information saying that he also ran for mayor, but he's not the past mayor, so I'm guessing he didn't win in that fight. Anyways, we're gonna check out this park real quick. There's multiple ways you can get into this park. You can get up to it from Metropolitan, you can get through it through Lynn Haven, you can also get through it on Deckner. So let's check the park out. We got a playground right behind us, and we have some trails over here. So we'll do a quick walkthrough and we'll get back to it. Spanning just under 10 acres, this park is great for families, offering a large playground for kids to enjoy, a pavilion for gatherings, grills, and picnic tables for a fun cookout. If you are in the mood for a short stroll, the park offers a natural surface walking trail that loops through the woods, measuring about half a mile, and it's a peaceful little retreat to soak in nature without venturing too far. It's also a great area to generally be by yourself. If you're into any kind of yoga or just want to meditate, it's a great park to do that. All right, so as we are finishing our walk in the park over here, it's kind of raining right now, but I want to say at this park, it's a nice small park. You have a nice little tire walkway and you got the good old playground. It's a really nice area and I think it's definitely worth checking out. All right, well, I'm gonna hop back in the car. It's raining. Bye. All right, so we are now driving on Clinton. Capitol View Manor and Capitol View are neighboring communities in Atlanta. I've said this multiple times, but they are different communities and they have distinct differences in their history, layout, and their feel. Capitol View Manor is a smaller, more uniform residential neighborhood that was designed to feel a bit more exclusive when it was developed during Atlanta's 1920s building boom. The streets have a curvier linear design with trees, sidewalks, houses set back from the road at varying distances. You'll notice architectural styles like English cottage, craftsman, colonial revival, and early ranch homes dating mostly from the 1920s to the 1950s. Unlike Capitol View, there are no commercial buildings within Capitol View Manor. It was developed purely as a residential area. Residents relied on shops and businesses along Stewart Avenue, which is now Metropolitan Parkway. And fun fact, The 10th Ward Fire Station number 20, built in 1926, is the only non-residential landmark in the neighborhood. Capitol View, the adjacent neighborhood to the west, is slightly older than Capitol View Manor. It has a more diverse mix of home styles and doesn't have the same level of uniformity as its neighbor, Capitol View Manor. While Capitol View Manor was created to be more of a prestigious area, Capitol View offers a different character with its own charm and proximity to similar amenities along Metropolitan Parkway. Both neighborhoods share a rich history and are tied to the growth of Atlanta in the 1920s, but Capitol View Manor was initially designed to stand out as a cohesive, planned community. Right now we are on Millview Avenue Southwest. We're gonna hit the stop sign real quick, and when we hit the stop sign, it's gonna turn into Manford Road Southwest. Keep your eyes open for the fire station. This was the fire station I was talking about that was built in 1926. As we continue driving, I want to talk to you about a little bit more history of the Capitol View Manor neighborhood. The Capitol View Manor neighborhood was originally purchased on July 5th, 1925 by a group of investors who were led by their corporate lawyer and banker, Joseph E. Boston, and they purchased it for a whopping $121,000. The plan for the subdivision was designed by O. Freeman in 1926, and it was at the time the property became known as Capitol View Manor. Right now we are on Manford, and since Manford turns into Dill as soon as you cross over the old school Stewart Avenue or the new school Metropolitan, we are going to make a U-turn and go back down Manford. As we continue driving, did you know what Capitol View Manor was called before it was called Capitol View Manor? Well, it was called Henry County Land Lot 88. It was comprised of 202.5 acres of gently rolling land and was drawn on March 13th, 1828 in the state of Georgia's land lottery by Jeremiah Benton of Jasper County, Georgia. As we continue driving down Manford, the road dead ends at a Atlanta watershed management facility. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's a sewer overflow facility, but right when you're getting to the end of this road, you run into the Atlanta Beltline, or at least you run into an Atlanta Beltline entrance. So let's check it out. All right, so as we're walking on the Atlanta Beltline over here, we are seeing there is some commercial. There's the Pittsburgh Yards project that is literally right on the other side of the Beltline. So if you cross the Beltline from Capitol View Manor over to the other side, you're gonna be in Pittsburgh, and that's where the Pittsburgh Yard project is located. It is, I would say, office buildings. Part of Pittsburgh Yards was purchased recently by the Atlanta Beltline, and I'm hoping for a lot of positivity. My personal opinion, the land has not been in the best of use, and the Pittsburgh Yard project, if you come pretty much anytime I've ever been here, it's been pretty barren with cars and stuff like that. So there really needs to be some kind of anchor building or some kind of commercial multifamily and also some type of retail available, but that is for the developer to decide. That's just my own 2 cents and going from there. But let's hop back in the car and check out some more streets. Now that we are back in the car and we are driving down Hillside Drive Southwest, I want to tell you about how Capitol View Manor got its name. We don't have too many more streets to drive on, so let's get into it. Moving forward to the 1920s, when the developers of View Manor decided to dive into the thriving real estate market, their strategy to stand out in a competitive landscape was smart and calculated. First, they chose the name View Manor. By including Capitol View, they tapped into the name recognition of the neighboring subdivision, which had already been established for over a decade. Adding Manor gave the new development an air of prestige and exclusivity that resonated with emerging middle-class, white-collar managerial buyers they were targeting. Kind of like these days, how everything is a yards. Back in the day, Manor was that thing. All right. They also enlisted designer O. Freeman to create a park-like neighborhood in the Olmsted tradition, which stood in stark contrast to the grid pattern style of Capitol View, just across Stewart, now Metropolitan. This thoughtful design helped set View Manor apart as a more refined, desirable place to live. Atlanta newspapers at the time predicted that these new professionals would flock to neighborhoods like View Manor to buy homes, solidifying its reputation as a prime residential area. It was a perfect blend of strategic branding, thoughtful design, and timing that made View Manor a standout in South Atlanta during this era. I really hope you have learned a lot on this tour of the View Manor neighborhood and how it's so different from the Capitol View neighborhood. I am a real estate agent in the Atlanta area. Doesn't matter if you're looking north, south, east, or west. I am your guy. I sell properties all over the Atlanta area. Also, please don't hesitate to like, subscribe, comment. It's really helpful for people who aren't from Atlanta or even who live in Atlanta. I really appreciate it. And come back now, you hear?